But hello again. I'm Aydrian. I'm the principal product of evangelist. What is my title again? For Tabnine. And I'm back once again with our head of marketing programs, Ameya. Ameya, say hello.
Hey, everyone. Hey, Carol. How you doing?
And this is Tabnine Live. So this is a program that we try to do every other week. And where we have kind of like a casual chat about a topic, but then also we're here to answer any questions that you have. Yeah. And before we kick off, I do want to let people know that I'm going to be going out on the road next month. So if you are in Seattle, New York, San Francisco, Austin, or LA, we're going to be sponsoring some AI workshops there. We have some social going out about that soon with a special discount code. And then also I will be at the React ATX meetup. We'll be sponsoring food from Tabnine, and then I'll be giving a little talk about using React with Tabnine or with AI in general. Yeah, so for everyone who's new, let's kick this off. And Ameya, do you want to give us an overview of what Tabnine is?
Yeah, so today's Tabnine Live, we're going to talk about how to get AI to write code like an engineer on your team. A little overview about Tabnine in case this is the first time you're joining us. Tabnine is the original AI coding assistant. We launched our first model in 2017. Since then, we've got over 1 million users across thousands of companies. We support over 80 languages and frameworks. And you can deploy Tabnine anywhere you like, SaaS, VPC, and air-gapped on-prem.
Nice. And then also just as a reminder, feel free to ask questions in the chat at any time. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and what we'll be covering today is why you might not be getting relevant code from your AI tools, 4 levels of personalization, how we kind of look at personalizing the results of an AI coding assistant to your developers or your Tabnine. We'll show you how to increase the relevance of AI coding recommendations through leveraging depth of personalization. We'll discuss some of the sources of context awareness, and we'll show you a demonstration of how to get an AI to make code recommendations like an engineer on your team would. And Adrian's got a pretty fun app he's building there with that. If you like pizza.
Who doesn't? All right.
All right, why you might not be getting relevant code from your AI tools. So, there's a lot of kind of angles to this, right, Adrian? But I think the first one is just kind of user error and prompt engineering, right? These are pretty new tools. People are still learning how to use them, and there's some differences between each one. In terms of Tabnine, for example, a lot of the action happens through the AI chat agent inside your IDE, whereas other tools, it's more of an auto-completion thing, right?
Right. And I think over time, we've kind of been prepared to like talk to machines like robots. So if you remember the first time you used Siri or Alexa, you might have sounded very robotic whenever you were like asking for commands. We've come a long way now. We're much more closer to, as I like Star Trek, right? So we can talk to these AI models like they're humans. So we don't have to, use any kind of special syntax and things like that. And so that's kind of where like prompt engineering has come about, right? So this is figuring out how to ask questions in ways to get back the best response. So your first question might not always get you the best response, right? Because you're not giving it enough information. So, it's like, when I was at SparkPost and I worked with Mary Thingvall, I would always just like walk up to her and start talking to her like we'd been talking for like hours. And then she would just look at me and go, context. So it's, a lot of people have started looking at it that same way, right? So just like Mary didn't know what I was talking about, right off the bat, your AI doesn't know what it's talking about. So we need to learn kind of how to create these prompts. So we first give it all the information before we ask the question. And this is where having something like Tabnine, as we'll see, is really going to be helpful with that.
So a question from Kirill, saying your name right there. Recently switched from Copilot to Tab9. The one thing he misses is selecting a piece of code and asking a question with keyboard shortcuts only. Any hints
Yes.
there?
I
Um,
think we might have some keyboard shortcuts that will like show the chat, but I think I know what you're talking about. And we recently brought that up. So we're having conversations with our UX team. We're constantly trying to improve that. And I think the best thing is if there's something that you really like, you would like to have, shoot an email off to feedback@tabnine.com. And we're starting to compile all of these requests. And so that way we can hopefully get some of these in. Yeah, I would definitely like to, do more keyboard only shortcuts.
yeah,
Good
and
question.
as a bit of like a stopgap in the meantime, he could probably use the custom commands functionality to write some commands for certain things, right? So it wouldn't be quite as fast as a keyboard shortcut, but he could write like a custom command for a certain function or task that he wanted to do.
Yeah, I think this is where like I'm sitting in the code editor and I'm typing code and I want to go to the chat window, but I don't want to reach for my mouse, right? And so like a keyboard like Command K or something like that would bring up the chat or move the cursor. So there's a lot of there's a lot of engineers that don't want to use the mouse, right? We support NeoVim, and that's I don't think they take their hands off the keyboard for anything when they're using Vim. So it's a good thing. Yeah.
Nice. All right, you want to talk about the second reason why you might not be getting relevant code, right? It's general purpose models versus code specific models. And I think part of this is that the large language models behind the majority of AI coding assistants kind of have an inherent limitation, and they're universal models, right? LLMs. They've been trained on vast amounts of data. They contain billions of parameters. But a lot of the time, they're not generally aware of the specific code and distinctive patterns of your individual organization. So the recommendations you're getting from them that are code specific are really going to be more like a software engineer off the street rather than a deeply experienced engineer that's familiar with how your organization works. So, you'll probably get accurate recommendations from most AI coding assistants, but they aren't going to be tailored to your individual developer's needs. And that's one of the things that we solve for here at Tab9. But Adrian, what do you think about all that?
Yeah, so there's lots of different models. We support a lot of them. We just dropped support for Claude 3.5 Sonnet today. And so if you're a Tab9 Pro user, you have access to the model switcher and can look through all of the different the models that we have access to. Now, some of them, like GPT-4 and 4.0, those are very large models, right? And so a lot of people think that you need very, very, very large models to complete your task. And that's not always the case. That just adds to latency and things like that. So having kind of more trained specific models to coding can get you just about the same results. But a lot of times what we see is the results that come back, they're for very general use cases. So in code, right? The Tab9 protected model, that's trained exclusively on permissively licensed open source code, right? So if you ask it to do something like, add a book to the database and it doesn't know anything about your database, it's going to go try and use an example that it found in open source and pull that back. And so it just might not be relevant at all. And so the model that you use and the size of that model is only one part of the equation for bringing back good good results. I just see there's people waiting on LinkedIn for it to start. Okay,
Yeah. I just hopped in the comments there and
okay.
replied with the YouTube link. And thank you, Imran and Vasily and Rafe.
Yeah,
And
sorry, we're working through
wow,
this issue.
yeah, our streaming thing just broke.
I'm trying to see if the streaming will start for them again. So yeah, so that's a lot of that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. StreamYard is still having issues with the connection for LinkedIn. We apologize.
All right, let me just get everyone the comment over to, so we don't leave anyone stranded. All right, that should cover it.
Yeah, I do see a lot of people coming in from YouTube.
And yes, Paolo, this will be live and stored here on YouTube. So as soon as we're done broadcasting here, you'll be able to access the full recording on YouTube.
All right. Do we want to move on to the last point?
Yes, we do. So AI coding assistants with versus without personalization, right? So imagine new developers starting to write code in your organization, and they haven't had any onboarding. They're probably pretty skilled, but without the appropriate onboarding, they wouldn't be aligned with you in terms of, your architectural requirements, existing microservices, best practices, coding styles. And one of the key capabilities of Tabnine's AI coding assistant is personalization. So that lets you effectively onboard Tabnine into your organization so that it's writing code like an engineer on your team would. And the way Tabnine is designed to be personalized to you and your environment is built to understand your world. So your problem domain, solution domain, libraries in use by your project and organization, your best practices, your styling rules, and some more. And the way we achieve this is through 4 layers of personalization. And as you'll see in the next 2 slides, each layer builds on the previous layer, and each layer kind of has different levels of effort and value that are delivered to the customer.
Yeah. So, question for you all out there: how many of you use a coding assistant by doing something like writing into Chat GPT or another chat-based AI model? I think Claude has one as well, where you just type it in and then you're copying and pasting code back and forth. It's always interesting to hear about this. Well, this is where like the lift of having an AI coding assistant built into your IDE, not anymore. That's good to hear. This is where the lift of having an IDE or a coding assistant built right into your IDE really comes into play, right? Because the coding assistant knows about the IDE and everything that the IDE does. And so earlier we talked about prompt engineering, right? Now, when you were just writing things into the chat and copying it back and forth, it did not know of anything about your project, right? It couldn't read any of the information, any of the relevant context. With a coding assistant, it can help you with the prompt. So whenever you're asking these simple questions, as we'll see coming up, we have a nice image of it. The coding assistant behind the scenes is indexing your workspace. It's following all of the different links. It knows the relevant context to put in with this request that you're making. And so that way, hopefully you're getting better results back. And I believe we'll talk about this, but we're doing this using RAG on the back end.
Yeah, so there's 4 ways that we like to think about personalization and increasing personalization with an AI coding assistant in Tabnine, right? And I'll just use Tabnine here as an example. And the way we approach personalization is that it is progressive. Sorry, once I'm getting a notification from LinkedIn. Okay, there we go. And yeah, so this progressive personalization optimizes how Tabnine generates recommendations that are relevant to your apps and approach and fit your existing patterns and standards. Now, some of these features are only available in Tabnine Enterprise, but that first level of context is available on Tabnine Pro. That's what we're going to be focusing our demonstrations on today. But as you can see from the X and Y axes of impact and optimization, context is really going to give you the biggest lift. And context can even be something as simple as something you did earlier today. So Aydrian, you want to walk them through the 4 levels of personalization? So starting with like the first one, context awareness in the IDE.
Yeah, sure. So context, this is going to be available for whether you have Tabnine Pro or Tabnine Enterprise. This is what's going to give you the biggest lift for personalization just right off the bat. This is making it aware of all the files in your workspace. Like I mentioned, looking at a file that you have open, if you have any imports, if you had some files open and some tabs open, it uses all of that to inform the LLM when you're asking the question. So that's a lot of this just boils down to RAG. And I just forgot what RAG meant. It just slipped right out.
It's retrieval augmented generation, right? So from Gaurang, how secure is my code, and does it get uploaded to any cloud? So Gaurang, with Tabnine, your code is always completely private, and we don't ever retain or store any of our customers' data. With Tabnine Enterprise, you get some additional security, highly secure deployment options. So you can deploy Tabnine on-premise, fully air-gapped behind your firewall. You can deploy it on-prem VPC as well. We also offer single-tenant SaaS with encrypted keys, and then we have a multi-tenant SaaS environment with full encryption there as well available. So, yeah, your code is always completely private and secure.
Yeah, and as long as you're using the Tabnine protected model. There are some trade-offs whenever you go to use one of the other models. So if you look at the model switcher and you see we have access to, GPT 4.0 and Claude Sonnet and things like that. But we try to be very clear about the trade-offs. Like your code is no longer private because it's going outside of our servers to make these requests. And it's no longer protected. So we try to keep that aware, but we want to be flexible enough so you can use these other models.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the way it works with Tabnine Pro is we also use ephemeral processing for any of the RAG requests that we're doing if you're on our Tabnine Pro. And how that works is it just deletes the data immediately as soon as it's done using it. So we don't retain any of that. So no matter what type of Tabnine subscription you're going with, your code's always private and secure. Yeah, let's go on to the next level of personalization, which is connection into your code and knowledge bases. So this is currently in private preview with Tabnine Enterprise customers. And what this enables you to do is if you're a Tabnine admin there, you can connect it to organizational sources of information. That includes code repositories, design documents. Jira tickets is coming as well. You can see a sneak preview of our Jira to Code agent on our website right now. And what you're going to get from this is another increase in relevance of code recommendations, code explanations, test generation, documentation generation. And something else that's coming soon, as I alluded to earlier, is a Jira and Confluence connection as well.
Yeah. And then coming up, we have coaching. We're very excited about this. We have a lot of it in design right now. So stay tuned for that. But this is going to be things like helping you out during code reviews. So as you submit your PR or MR, Tabnine will go through and based on rules set up by your organization, it will go through and highlight things that need to be fixed before you need to bother somebody to do a code review on. And the cool thing is it will explain where it came from. So to say like Ameya says that you should use Axios or something like that. But there's a lot of that going. There's a lot of that coming.
Yeah, and then
we don't want to get too far into that.
Yeah, and then the highest level of personalization that's available, and this is available today already with our Tabnine Enterprise tier, is customization of the underlying models. So with this, we customize our proprietary Tabnine protected models, and this maximizes the personalization of our AI coding assistant to your organization. So what we could do for you is fine tune or create custom models for a domain specific language you're using or an organization specific code base. And what this effort does is it creates a unique model that's private and completely yours. And it's fine tuned on your own code. Now, this level of personalization does require your organization to curate sufficient amounts of high quality training data. And typically, the best time when this is warranted is if you want Tabnine to know a domain specific language or knowledge that's private to your organization, or all your projects use internal libraries and infrastructure, and you have somewhere in the millions of lines of code following those libraries and infrastructure. One of the advantages to this customization is that if you're in a highly regulated industry like aerospace defense, finance, semiconductor manufacturing, and you're writing in proprietary languages that aren't well supported in the open source documentation, open source libraries that are out there, this is really going to 10x the performance of your AI coding assistant over others, right?
Cool.
All right, cool. So just a quick overview here of increasing relevance of AI software recommendations with increasing depth of personalization. This is what Aydrian was alluding to earlier when he was talking about copy pasting with ChatGPT or another generative AI coming back and forth from your IDE versus interacting with the AI chat agent that's in your IDE already. So as you're talking to Tabnine and giving it more and more feedback, it's building additional layers of context and increasing the depth of personalization over time. And this graph is just kind of a linear view of that going from left to right. Is it possible to get context awareness in Tabnine with the regular Pro edition? Tried many times, never really the model anyhow where the project context except the current file.
So it should be. Oh, I think Rambo set off Atticus over here. We got dueling dogs. So it should be available in the Pro edition. Atticus, oh my gosh, you're fine. You'll notice on the in the chat there is that little toggle back and forth for whether or not to use workspace. And so behind the scenes, Tabnine is indexing your workspace and figuring out like what is relevant for the file that you're on. It also takes into account other files you've had open. You can also kind of force context using mentions, which we'll demo here. It's just another way of pulling information into the context. So I'd be interested to hear more about what you found out or what you're seeing, but you should have access to workspace context in Pro, not connection, which is connection to other repos context.
Yeah, and then a question from Gustavo. So you're on the free version of Tabnine Basic. And we really don't recommend using that unless you're a student or you're just kind of learning, you're just kind of really lightly exploring AI. Plus our Tabnine Pro product has a 90-day free trial. So, that's 3 months to go try it out. So it's pretty much as risk-free as it can get. We also do discount codes all the time. So I encourage you to give Tabnine Pro a shot. And
so the free version of Tabnine Basic, it is running completely on your machine. And so it's a much smaller model that it's using for one thing. Whenever you go into Pro, we actually have kind of 2 levels for autocomplete. So there's 2 different models that are used, and one is much larger. That's why it has to be used with Pro, because we have to connect to it. But we are working on updates to our base autocomplete model, and the team is showing some really good improvements. So hold out for that, but also take advantage of that 90 days of Tabnine Pro because it gives you a lot more features.
Yeah, last thing on that, don't want to turn this into a sales pitch for Tabnine Pro, but I think we have like how many switchable LLMs available now on that thing? We've got like 7 or 8. Yeah, and I think we're releasing another one pretty soon here, and you get access to all of them with the subscription. So basically getting like 10 different AI models for 90 days to try.
And you can switch between them like
real time
in the same setting. So like ask ChatGPT 4.0 something, and then switch to a different model and ask again. Sometimes it's fun to like just ask the same question in multiple models and see what you get.
Yeah. Question from Simon: how much does Pro cost? $12 per user per month, but we do offer discounts. If you go check out Aydrian's latest blog post, there's a discount at the bottom of it. I think it was discount code is Elevate Me, I believe.
Yeah.
That's on that.
Is that like 50% off for the year or something like that? Yeah.
Alrighty. So let's go take a look at sources of context from that first level of personalization. So, just like you need context to intelligently answer questions in real life, coding assistants also need that to intelligently answer your questions. And this contextual awareness augments LLMs by providing all the subtle nuances that make you as a developer and your organization unique. So this is kind of a visual of the different ways Tabnine accesses locally available data in your IDE to provide more accurate and relevant results. So that includes stuff like variable types used by the developer near the completion point in the code, comments you've added in line and just throughout the code, open files you interact with, any imported packages and libraries, and of course, open projects. And then, as Aydrian mentioned earlier, you can also direct Tabnine to focus on specific elements in the workspace through using mentions, which is simply using the @ symbol to tag unopened files, classes, or methods directly into Tabnine chat. RCLW sees something called T9 protected. Tabnine protected, that's our proprietary model. That's the completely private, secure, and protected model of Tabnine. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into a demo.
Sure. All right. So here is the demo. This is based on a workshop that I created when I first got here. So for those of you who don't know, Domino's has an API, and I've done a lot of fun things with it. I've made like Slack bots, and this time I thought, what would be something like a developer would really love, and that's clearly being able to order pizza from the command line. And so we've made a Domino's Pizza CLI. And so this is kind of here's the sitch. So we start off by saying you've just been hired by Asimov Inc., a software company, software consulting company. AI was recently contracted by Domino's to build a CLI to complement their online ordering system. It seems people are CLIing all the things, and Domino's wants to stay ahead of the curve by allowing you to order pizza from your favorite terminal. The deadline is quickly approaching, and the developer who started the project has left the company. You've been given access to the requirements documents and existing repo. Your job is to complete the minimum viable product version of the CLI. It's required that all code be documented, to have unit tests with complete code coverage before the code can be handed off. And rumor has it there will be a pizza party upon completion of the project. Who doesn't love pizza? That's what made me read books during the summer. And so just a little bit about the
so the MVP requirements for this is users should be able to find a nearby store by zip code, should be able to mark a store as their favorite, should be able to save and update their profile with first name, last name, email, phone number, address, various elements of the address. And then users should be able to create and place an order containing one or more pizzas. And finally, should be able to track an order by phone number. Yeah. So ticket number one.
And so the way we've set this up is just creating a number of tickets. And then we'll go through and show how we can use Tabnine to do these. So first ticket, you want to read it? You can play the project manager.
Sounds good. So ticket one, there are many inconsistencies with how people enter their state on their profile. Let's update the profile UX to allow users to select a state from a list of states that filters as they type. Use the autocomplete prompt type from the prompts package, and be sure to update this for create and update. Sorry about my dog, everyone.
It's a new place. We understand. Okay, so let me pull my screen up here. So we got asked for what version of Tabnine. I'm using Tabnine Pro. And since we just released Claude 3.5 Sonnet, I've decided to choose that as my model of choice. So you've probably been this many times, whether starting at a new place or being put on a new project, having no idea. Okay, so we need to update the state on where they're prompted for a profile. I've not seen this code base before. I can I'm clicking on the wrong window. I'm sorry. Oh, wow. Well, I imagine it's probably in source. But you know what? We have Tabnine here. So I'm just going to ask Tabnine, and you can see we have this workspace toggled on. I can just ask it, where do we prompt for a profile? Based on the provided code snippets, look at this. It talks a lot. While it's talking, the support that we're showing is definitely available in the JetBrains suite and VS Code. And we have chat in Eclipse and I believe NeoVim as well, just off the top of my head. Okay, cool. So based on the provided code snippets, the profile prompting is done in two main places. So in the profile, and we can see the link here, and it's going to tell me a little bit about it. If you want to take the time and read all these, it really helps getting you up to speed. And then here is actually the specific function or method that's being used. And so what I'm going to do is go down and I'm going to click on the index link, and it's going to take me right to it. So here we go. This is where we're being prompted for the profile. I can look at this and see, oh, there's a lot of text type fields. All right. And here is state, and we can see it is being prompted as text, right? So you can put anything for your state. New York state of mind. You can type out the 2-letter postal code. There's just a lot of room for error here. So the next thing I'm going to do is let's explain what this is doing. This is I kind of eyeballed it, but let's see what it's doing. So I'm just going to hit explain on CodeLens, and we'll see. So this is using the prompts library to create interactive command line interfaces. If anybody's done a TypeScript command line, you probably are familiar with the types library or Inquisitor or something like that. It tells us, what the object's done. So the text type, that's good. It tells us all the things that it prompts for, and that even returns a profile object. So that's great. So we know we need to change this, but I don't know what types are possible. So I'm just going to say, what are the possible prompt types? Okay. And so because of the workspace context, because it knows that we're pulling in the prompts package, it is able to come out and say, here are the types. So text, which we've seen. There's also password, invisible, number, confirm, list, toggle, select, multi-select. Ooh, autocomplete. That sounds cool. So we're zeroing in on what we need. So we know it's autocomplete. So let's just say, show me an example of the autocomplete type. And so here it's kind of showing you an example of what the autocomplete type is, and it's actually using the state. So you can see one thing that needs to be done is the type needs to be changed to autocomplete, and then we need these choices. I know that we're going to need to change this in multiple places. So now what I want to do is I want the choices as its own array, right? So we can use it later. And so I'm going to say, create an array of choices for each of the 50 United States, where the value is the 2-letter postal code. I don't know about you, but I've had to write out state names or use like some kind of magic with Excel to generate this kind of stuff because I do not like typing. And the fact that it's just going through and creating all of this is great. And it did exactly what I wanted. So it created an array. It gave it a a name. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to paste this in. So I'm just going to tell it to insert. So now we've got our choices. Figure out what's going on here. Oh, this is a. Did it not paste in my const? So this is just a problem with perfectionist. And that's actually not where I want it. So bear with me. I'm going to put it outside of this export. Cool. So we've got state choices. It's mad that it's declared never used. We'll get there. And so now let's actually complete the ticket. So I'm going to highlight this. So this is where I'm specifically selecting this function as context. And I'm going to say refactor this function to use an autocomplete type for state using state choices for the choices. Demoing with AI is really interesting because you never know if the AI is going to spit out the same thing it spit out yesterday. So this is always super fun. So here you can see, here is the new function. We can do a show diff, which is sometimes diffs are helpful, but you can see what it changed is it turned this into an autocomplete type, and it's using the state choices. So I have this highlighted. I'm just going to say insert. And now we have that. And I think I've taken a lot of time on this ticket. So let me quickly show you this in action. Let me get my terminal to show up. There we go. All right. So we can run this by doing /bin dev profile. Okay, so because we don't have a profile, it's going to ask us to set one up. And so I'm just going to say Aydrian, Howard, email Aydrian@tabnine.com, phone number 123-456-7890. What is your address? 123 Main Street. No, 92, New York. All right. And here we've gotten to the state, and I can just start typing New York and select it. And the zip code, just put in a New York zip code here. And there we go. And so if we run this again, we have our thing. The second thing that I was going to do for this ticket is we also have the ability to update a profile. And so basically we would do the same thing, except here, what I would do is take this and I would export this. So that way we could use it in another file. And then we just go over and we change, basically make the same changes to the update as well. But if you have any questions about that, I thought this was pretty cool, just being able to walk through, talking to Claude 3.5 Sonnet like I would talk to my neighbor. Cool. All right, you want to go back? Should we go on to the next ticket?
Yeah, let's do it. Excuse me.
All right.
So ticket 2. Credit card transactions have been failing due to bad security codes. Some include letters. And so let's update the credit card prompt to only accept a 3 or 4-digit string. And Adrian, we'd prefer to use a regular expression in the validation function, please.
Yeah. So this ticket is actually based on true life. After graduating, I think it was my second job, I worked for a company that was contracted by Sony. This was when the PlayStation 3s came out. Sony allowed their employees to pre-order them, right? So they got first dibs, and they were going to be there by Christmas. And we created this ordering system for these PlayStations. And I messed up the credit card entry and ended up putting locks on a lot of people's credit cards. So we're going to make sure that doesn't happen by making sure that we have validation for the credit card code here. So let me go to my little notes. First off, just like the last one, I've never done this before. I'm going to pretend I've never done this before, but we don't know where we prompt for credit card information. So because we have the context of the workspace, we can just ask again, where do we prompt for payment information? Oh, cool. The payment information is prompted in the get payment from prompt method of the order class. Oh, did we not switch over? Sorry. Yeah, so in the order class, this method is defined. So here it is. And here's the relevant part of the code. That's pretty cool. So we can see payment input. It's using the prompts library again. I'm learning things now since I did that first one. This method uses the prompts library to ask for the following information. Cool. I'm going to click on this one. I'm pretty sure it's it because it's not the test. And so here we are with it highlighted. And for this one, what we want to do is we're just going to ask it to refactor it. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give it context. So this is where where we can give context in the chat itself. It might not know what a security code is. And so I'm going to say a security code is a string that is 3 or 4 numbers long. It can't contain any letters. Refactor this function to ensure the security code is valid. Okay, so let's see what it does. I basically am just asking, basically just giving it the ticket. So here we go. In this refactored version, I've added a validate function to the security code prompt. So with its knowledge of the prompts library, it knew that there was an option for a validate function. And so it's using that. And it's even using a regular expression to make sure that the security code consists of 3 or 4 digits. It will give an error. It will also return an error message. Let's see if the diff is any better here. So it did some moving of spaces. So this looks good. We can see here's our validate function. It takes it in a value. It does a check using regular expressions. And yeah, so I'm just going to say insert and save that. And I don't know about you, but I am terrible at regular expressions. So one of my favorite features is being able to highlight a regular expression and say, what does this do? And I think I think my chat window got too big. So Apologies for that error. And so it's going to use the highlighted as the context, and it's going to ask a question. So this, it tells you what each piece of it does. It tells you in simple terms what it does, which is, I think, is pretty cool. It takes I broke it. Yeah. So when you're using chat, it's good to clear the conversation every so often. That just like helps with things like that. And I think it was just maybe we reached the max context level. This is something that I'm asking about, but you can always start a new chat, and that's something that I like to do like at the beginning of each ticket too. I clear out the chat, and so that way all the context before is gone, right? Because I want it to be isolated to the problem that I'm working on. This one is a little harder to demo because I would have to order a pizza, and that takes a long time. You can actually order a pizza and get charged for it. So if you decide to play around with this code, and we can link this out, you can see how easy it is to spend money. But here we see that it actually did it. And if there was a situation, and different models will give you different solutions. I had one model that didn't use regular expression, and so I just did a follow-up and say, hey, can you use a regular expression for this? And it put it back out. It is available for PyCharm. So that is that ticket. Easy enough. So now we have validation for the CSV. I talk a lot, so we might be going over time. So let's go back to ticket 3, or go to ticket 3. This time we're going to be looking at testing. So our CI/CD is showing that we have a failing test. Please investigate and make any necessary code changes for this test to pass. Be sure to make any documentation updates if necessary. Okay, so let's go over here. I'm going to clear. I need to see what test isn't passing. So I'm going to run npm run test. Oh, we got one that failed. Okay, what is it? So expected function update profile to throw an error. Okay. So we need update profile. Oh, sorry. We're still like working on this this collaboration between Ameya and I, switching windows back and forth. All right, so I'm going to start a new conversation, and I'm going to say, where is the update profile function? I don't even need the file explorer anymore. So here is update profile, and we want, I believe, this one. So this opened it up index, which is in the order. That's not it. That's get item from prompt. I think it's bringing in the wrong update profile. Oh no, it was completely right. Sorry about that. Because it's saying in the config API. Okay, so let's take a look. Update profile. And as you can see, to make this like work, I had to do some TypeScript things because TypeScript was mad. So I'm just going to take this file, and I'm going to say refactor this function to throw an error if the customer profile is not set up. All right, let's see how it did. So we've got current profile. So here we're putting in this check here. So if there's not a current profile, it is going to throw the error. And then otherwise, it's going to do the rest of it. So this is great. So let's go ahead and insert that. And now, because we changed something, let's go ahead and redo the documentation. So let's say add, update, documentation, and add inline comments. All right, so it's updated the doc. You can see now that it shows that it throws an error. And then it added in inline comments. So we now know along the way what everything is doing. And this is only going to help for the future. So I'm just going to go ahead, and I like that. That is highlighted. I'm going to tell it to insert. Why are you upset? Oh, it's missing the returns. Add a returns to the documentation. So remember that, like, you're having a conversation with the chat, right? And it's using everything that you've already talked about as context. So I noticed it didn't have a returns. I didn't want to write that myself. Maybe I don't know it. So I just asked it to. And so it shows you the relevant part. And so I'm just going to copy that line. Oh, yeah. Stop trying to help me, IDE. And now it's happy. So we've got the returns. So we were able to, oh, and as you can see, because I had it on watch mode, it just reran all of our tests, and they're all passing now. How about that? And we even took care of any documentation. Okay. So I think that is ticket 3. Objective complete. All of our tests are passing. So go on to ticket 4.
All right. Our CI/CD is also complaining that we don't have 100% test coverage. Please investigate and add any necessary tests. I think on our last one, we even talked about whether 100% test coverage was a reasonable metric. Yeah. And, with AI, unit test coverage, definitely.
Yeah, so we can take a look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quit this. I'm going to start a new conversation just so I don't forget that. And I'm going to run the coverage report. So let's do in npm run coverage. Ooh, what do we got here? Couple places. Let's take a look. I'm on my wrong notes. So where is it happening? I think it's on the update. I think it's on the update. I introduced some more uncovered tests here. As it turns out, I just recently did an update to this application. That's my bad. I didn't follow the instructions. So let's go take a look at this file. Inside source, inside commands, inside profile, and it is in the update. And it says, what is this? Oh, I'm on the wrong one, sorry. Update. All right. So we got get updates from prompt. I need to see. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go into the coverage report here, and I want to open this. What do I want? Let's reveal in Finder. this down here. I like the graphical representation better. Here we go. So profile, update TS. Oh, well, it's mad about those, but those are yellow, so we're going to leave that alone. So if no fields are available, it returns null. And so this is the part that's uncovered. So, and that is in what function? Okay, so this is if there's nothing to update. One thing that might be nice is if you're new to this, and I lost my window. Did I close the window? Whoops. Hi, everyone. I moved the window. Sorry about that. Okay, so we figured out where it is. It's inside this get updates from prompt function. We have to write a test. I don't know anything about the test, so I can say things like, what framework are we using for testing? And again, because it knows the workspace, based on the information provided in the code, you can see that we're using Vitest. And then it gives you a little information. Vitest is a fast and lightweight testing framework for JavaScript and TypeScript projects. So great. So we know about that. Let me close this, and let's open up our file, our update file. Somehow I closed that. And it is this function. So I'm going to highlight this function here. And I'm going to go back over to my chat. And I'm going to say, write a unit test for this function to make sure it returns null if no fields are selected. Use a format similar to, and this is where we can use mentions. It gets cut off. But this is where we can use mentions to add more context to something. So we just talked about the framework in the chat. So that is in the context for the chat window. But maybe we have special ways of doing our tests. Maybe we're using certain mocks or certain utilities to help us out. We can simply pull in an existing test file. So I'm going to do this. And then that helps it return a better answer. So let's see what we got here. All right. So it created the test, and I'm going to open up our test file here. And just go down here to the bottom. Too far. Okay, so here's a unit test for the get updates from prompt function to ensure it returns null if no fields are selected, using a similar format to here. So you can see it's using this prompts.inject. This is a tool that is provided by the prompts library. And this is what we're using to input information into the prompts object while we're testing, right? So it knew to do that based on the other examples that were inside of this. So we can see that it's injecting nothing, and then it's going to try to do an update, and you'll expect updates to be null. So let's go down here, insert. I was like, is that right? Let's see, 2 arguments, but got 0. So sometimes you can also do this, fix with Tabnine. To fix this info, we need to modify the way we're instantiating the update class based on the error message. Okay. I don't think this is right.
You're using the Claude 3.5 model. Do you mean to do that?
Yeah, that should be fine. Sorry, I did this yesterday. Let me look at my little cheat sheet here. How are the questions? I've not been able to, to focus on both.
There's been a ton of really great questions. So yeah,
Great.
Keep them coming, everyone.
Oh, so okay, it was actually pretty close. It's just this. It should not. It read that wrong. So there we go. So testing, you know, sometimes this works for me, sometimes it doesn't. But it got me there, and I was able to ask questions. It was using the update in the wrong way. Interesting. But now if we go back and we run npm run coverage, we should see that clear up. Except that now it didn't work. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to dig into that a little deeper. It used to work. But basically, we just need to give the prompts, inject nothing into the prompts, and then try to run the update. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to look into this one more. It was working yesterday. This is the joy of demoing with AI. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the last ticket here. We've gone over a little bit. I tell you, if you want to do things with AI, you got to be humble. Okay, you're on mute.
Thank you. During code review, noticed a lot of missing documentation. So please take some time to document the order command, starting with the get payment from prompt function.
All right, and so this one's a lot easier. Let me clear out some stuff, and I'll do a new conversation. We don't need this anymore. So with this ticket, it's just about documentation. So this is by far the easiest one.
Sorry, excuse me, got something in my throat. Simon, actually, so some of our biggest customers are actually semiconductor manufacturing companies and aerospace and defense. So we've got engineers working on embedded systems using Tabnine. However, the way they're using it is they're using our enterprise tier with the 4th level of personalization, customization enabled. So I mean, if you're interested in that, interested in trying that out, I'll send you a form. Just fill that out, and we can reach out to your organization and help you do a deeper dive into that use case and get your team set up with it.
Yeah, thank you. All right, for this last one, it's going to be very easy. I found the function that's mentioned in the ticket. If you were to look through all of this, there's a lot of documentation missing. But for this ticket, we're going to assume that we're going to do them all, but we'll only document this one function. Now, there's a couple ways that you can do it. There is, if you have access to CodeLens, which is available on Visual Studio Code and the JetBrains IDEs, we can just simply go document, and that will open up the chat, and it will generate the documentation. And so here you can see all of the different code that it did. The other way that we can do it is if you want to be more specific, you can highlight it all. That uses that as context, and I can say document this function and include inline comments, and it will generate that. So you can see it does the returns, got the params. I like this one a little better because of the way that it's doing the inline comments. So I'm just going to hit insert, and we're all documented now. And so we've got, oh, this is parsing the month and year, this is validating the year, and different things like that. And that concludes our tickets for the demo. I'm going to switch back.
Yeah. So just a little bit about Tabnine as we close out here. So unlike other AI coding assistants, Tabnine's private, personalized, and protected. With the privacy angle, you choose where and how to deploy Tabnine to maximize control over your intellectual property. You can also rest easy knowing Tabnine never stores or shares your company's code. 3 deployment options, again, offered here on Tabnine Enterprise: on-premise, fully air-gapped, VPC, or private SaaS. Tabnine's personalized, as you saw today. It delivers an optimized experience for each development team. It's context aware, which you saw a bunch of demos of Aydrian doing that today. Of course, you can also create bespoke models trained on your own code bases. We offer 4 levels of personalization. Finally, Tabnine is protected. It's built with enterprise-grade security and compliance at its core, including SOC 2 and ISO. And it's exclusively trained. Our protected model is exclusively trained on permissively licensed code. So that avoids any risk of legal risk or IP liabilities. If you'd like to get started with Tabnine Pro, just visit our website and sign up for a free 90-day trial. If you're interested in any of the enterprise tier features like code-based connection, our upcoming coaching private preview, connection into non-code sources of information, air-gapped on-premise deployments, or the 4th level of personalization, customization, and fine-tuning, reach out to us on our contact us form, and we'll have someone come and speak with you, understand your needs, and get you a more in-depth demo of the enterprise capabilities and help you get started with an evaluation.
Awesome. And cool. So we'll leave it open a little bit longer if you have any other questions you'd like us to answer. Again, we are going to be sponsoring some AI workshops happening across the country, and I will be at them. So if you are in New York, San Francisco, Seattle, LA, or Austin, we will we'll be out there, and watch our social because we'll be giving out a code to get a discount for that workshop. Yeah, so we got a question here. Private applies to free tier too. Yeah, the free tier is actually all run on your machine, so it's using a local LLM. So that's, I don't know, about as private as it gets, I think.
It's almost like an air-gapped deployment just on your own machine. Well, it's not air-gapped because it's connected to the internet, but it is on-prem, if you will, on your own laptop. The thing with the free tier is that you're not really going to get great performance out of it. If you want it to perform well, really recommend going at least up to Tabnine Pro.
Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for joining us, Daniel.
Yeah, we like to have fun with some of our applications. Wanted to create something that was kind of end to end, so we're not jumping from language to language to feel like we're cherry picking our examples. As you can see, some of them fail.
Milan, we're doing Tabnine live every 2 weeks, so we'll see you in 2 weeks on Thursday at 8 a.m. and hopefully StreamYard is fixed its bug with LinkedIn by that time, so we'll run into this issue again.
And if there's any topics you'd like to see us cover, please let us know. The main reason we do these kind of these presentations with this is in case we show up and nobody has any questions. We want to, be able to educate you in some way or show off something cool.
Thanks for
Awesome.
joining us, Michael. Yeah, I'll say hi to Rambo, and Adrian will say hi to Atticus for you.
Oh yeah, he ran upstairs. Somebody buzzed the door.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Nice to hear you've been using Tabnine Pro for a while there, Sean.
Thanks.
All right. Well, if there's no further questions, there we go. Okay.
Nope.
Is it possible in enterprise version to provide different rules for subteams in review? That is exactly what our coaching feature is designed to do. And yeah, we'd love to have your team try it out. Again, just reach out via our contact us form, and we can get the ball rolling with getting you set up with the eval or getting licenses.
People are asking if this was recorded. Yes, it's going to be available right after on our YouTube channel. So I'll look in the Tabnine Live, or in the live section of our YouTube channel. You should be able to find it.
Yeah, absolutely. Try out Tabnine Pro to do some testing. Again, make use of that free 90-day trial. That is on our website via the pricing page.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll hold for another 60 seconds for any more questions. Oh, there we go. Yeah. All right. Yes, it does. That's why we recommend for all of our customers that are super privacy conscious, just use Tabnine Protected. That's another one of the advantages of our enterprise tier is your Tabnine admin can set access rules to all the LLMs we offer to users in your organization. So if you have teams working on highly IP sensitive stuff, you can only restrict them to Tabnine Protected, whereas other teams, perhaps you can open the door to additional models. If we have a release every day, will the LLM model quickly update with new knowledge?
So because we don't train the model with your information, it's not going to update. It's not like a fine tuning on the model, but kind of the more you use it, the more it like is able to index for like the local context awareness.
Yeah, that's the Tabnine Pro tier. If you're on the enterprise tier and you've been enabled with code base connection, the model is continuing to pull context from your code base as you connect repositories to it. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's on the enterprise tier. Yes, it will quickly update with new knowledge based on what you push into your repos, right? So
right. So if you have like a front end engineer who needs to have reference to a backend thing that they don't actually have access to because Tabnine has access to that repository, then it can help with the code suggestions based on that.
Yeah, and you can set, what teams have access to what with your repos. And then again, with the enterprise deployment of Tabnine, that model is fully yours. So it's completely private. So as it's updating with the knowledge in your repositories, it's not leaving your version of Tabnine, right? So it's always completely private and secure.
Looks like we might be good. Well, I think we're going to conclude for today. We will be back in 2 weeks. I won't be because I will be traveling somewhere.
Oh, is it possible to use Tabnine by QA for increasing testing speed? Well, if you're asking about generating unit tests, yes, like Tabnine can generate unit tests. Did I misunderstand that question, Adrian?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
All right, Alexius, let me know if that answered your question. Okay, not unit test. Okay.
Okay. Like acceptance, like we can help out with writing tests, Obviously we don't execute the tests. We can also, with the coaching coming out, we can help out in the pull requests. But I'm not sure what other function you're looking for.
Do you have a free trial period for the enterprise version? So that's a question you should really ask our account executives and our deployment team. Just encourage you to go just reach out to them. Again, you can do that on our contact us form. Oh, already got that one.
But yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks. I won't. So Ameya will be taking the reins of primary hosting duties and probably having a special guest. But as soon as we have that one ready, we'll have it out in LinkedIn and all the other socials. Hopefully the LinkedIn connection will work. But yeah,
Devin would like to have Tabnine to document a lot of code, but would not like to have to select each code block individually.
Yeah, that's not currently something that we have. It is on kind of an individual basis, but we will take that information back to the product team.
Single line code completion accuracy. We are just about to release a new code completion model, so you'll see improved performance there quite shortly.
And also, if you see inaccuracies, there are ways that you can report those inside, and so that's very helpful. It gives our engineers information to fix it.
All right, let's call it there.
Yep.
Looks like we're all right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. Next Tabnine Live is July 11th, I believe. That's the Thursday, 2 weeks out from now. So I'll see you all on there.
Okay. Bye, everyone.